Hello, creative, and welcome back to the Empowered Creatives podcast, finding confidence between hustle and burnout. I'm your host, Victoria Hines, creative career coach, helping creatives just like you level up or find your next path in your career. I'm really excited about this episode today because it is something that invigorates me. And once I started catching on to this secret little magic, so to speak, in regards to projects, endeavors, creative projects, life projects, work projects, once I caught on to this secret ingredient and these telltale signs, I started finding a lot more balance per se, or synergy with what I was aiming to do, my goals at the time with the environment around me. This episode today, we're going to talk about embracing seasons of creation. I think very similar to there being different seasons, so fall, winter, spring, summer, just like we have seasons in the world around us, unless you live close to the equator, and then you might just have one season. Our lives have seasons too. There's different things going on. There's different things happening. There's different things going on in our communities, our environment. And sometimes our ideas and what we want to do is going to align to everything around us. And sometimes we are going to hit a whole lot of resistance by trying to push projects or endeavors through that maybe you're just in the wrong season for. So I want to talk about some symptoms of how you might know that you are in the wrong season. So feeling a lot of resistance around a particular project could mean that the ingredients for that project, whether that be the right collaborators, the right messaging, the time and space to focus on it, it just might not be there. Procrastination can be one. Sometimes procrastination is something you need to overcome in the moment. But sometimes procrastination could just mean you are in need of a season of rest and not a season of production. If you are feeling drained more often than not, it could be that you really are in need of a season where you focus on re-energizing yourself instead of producing or giving more of yourself over. Feeling overwhelmed, or feeling like everything about a particular project, goal, or endeavor or initiative feels like an uphill battle to the point that none of it is fun anymore. All of these are symptoms or signs that you might be just in the wrong season for this particular project, initiative, goal, or endeavor. This can happen in side projects. This can happen in your full-time work. This can happen in part-time work. This can happen in your personal life. In reality, and we all know this, life happens and it is going to impact your best laid plans. Maybe you started 2022 and said, okay, this fall, I am going to be writing this particular book. And then a loved one gets a really bad medical diagnosis, or you have something happen to you. You might have to shift that journey in order to focus on healing or focused on your loved ones instead of that initial plan that you had laid. Part of the journey of being a creative and part of the hero's journey is trusting that the goals that you have set for yourself will swivel back around. It just might not be the right time. So this episode is all about how to recalibrate your to-do list with the season that you are currently in. Real quick, I'm going to interrupt this podcast to tell you about a really nifty tool that I've made just for you. As creatives, it's so easy to find ourselves lost in jobs that we don't really like. So much so that when we decide to find a day job or support job that we actually enjoy, we have no idea where to start. This is where a creative career audit comes in. Head to the show notes below to grab the link to my download, and you can get your free workbook that will help you identify what brings you joy and what drains you in the world of work. No more day jobs or support jobs that make you just feel inside. It's time to find something that's going to light you up again. All right, let's kick it off. So I'm going to share with you 5 ways to recalibrate and figure out which season you are currently in so that you can align what you are doing to that particular season. So my first little piece of advice is to write every goal that you have down and keep that list in sight every single day. I started a new thing this year. I've done many different things in the past, from vision boards on Pinterest to physical vision boards with magazine cutouts to keeping an electronic list on my computer, so many different things. But recently this year, I bought a blackboard so I could write in colorful markers on it, and I hung it up on my wall. I wanted something that was a little bit more artsy, kind of blended in with my room. And that's where I wrote down every single major goal that I had, whether it was in my creative business, with this podcast, or in my personal life, such as traveling. So by writing these goals down and keeping this list in sight every single day, even if you're not paying that much attention to it, you increase your trust, and it tells your brain, hey, you don't have to think about this particular thing every single day. We've got you. By writing that goal down, you tell your brain, hey, you can let this go for right now. And when it's ready for you to pick this goal back up again, I'll be waiting here for you. It keeps all of these goals in the back of your mind. It keeps them in sight, but it also means that you don't have to be focusing on every single one at the same time, because if you try to focus on 20 different goals, 20 different projects, 20 different things you want to do in the upcoming year, you're going to get overwhelmed, and it's very easy for every single one of them to fall by the wayside because you get burned out in the process. So that's your first way to recalibrate, or to sort of give yourself the big bird's eye picture, is to write every goal down and keep the list in sight for the year. Number 2, list every major project or life event that is happening currently. So the first piece of advice was writing down goals or things that you want to happen. So it's very future focused. This exercise is all about writing down the present, what is currently happening in your life. So making a list of everything, and then noting which of these project, life events, things that's pulling your energy and attention, which of these feels like the resistance is so high, you don't have the energy right now to fight for it. And I want you to ask yourself, what would happen if you took the energy that you are clawing for and trying to devote to this thing right now? And what if you were able to get that energy back and put it in a different direction in your life, towards something else that you wrote down? I can give you a perfect example. So I moved into a full-time job at the beginning of this year because I wanted what is it called? The financial influx of money so that I could devote that to my business on the side. So, but going with a full-time job comes with a lot of really great things. It also comes with more hours and more responsibility. So also at the beginning of the year, I was wanting to launch this podcast. I had a group coaching program. I had a one-on-one coaching program. I had lots of different ideas of all these other things I wanted to do. But I had to recalibrate, and I had to ask myself, out of everything that I'm doing, out of everything that I'm producing, what do I actually enjoy? And where do I need to let something go in order to have the flexibility for my full-time job, in order to feel like I'm not expending myself too much? So I chose to let go of the group coaching program. I just told myself, hey, the material is still there. Everything I built is still there. I still think that there is a future life for it. But for right now, it's not the right time and place. So I let that go so that I could spend more time with you on this podcast, so that I could spend more time with my one-on-one clients. And I could also balance the full-time job. So you might also be in a current place in your life, in your work, in your career where something's just got to give, and figuring out what is maybe not worth the fight right now and letting that go so that you can make space for all of the other things, or even make space for a future version of that thing to come and morph in the future. All right. So, number 3, meditate. Go for a walk, lay on the floor, sit in a classical meditation pose. It doesn't matter how you meditate, but give yourself some headspace. Anything to let you tap back into your body and get your brain off of running a mile a minute. So once you're in this meditation space, whether that's walking, laying on the floor, classic meditation, yoga, I want you to visualize being able to spend more time, energy, and money on each project and goal that you wrote down in your list. And go through the projects and initiatives one by one. So, whatever project A was, imagine being able to spend more time, energy, and money. What would that look like? What would change? And then let that go. Then imagine project B. If you had more time, energy, and money to devote to it, what would it look like? I want you to go through each thing on your list and ask yourself, which one is lighting you up right now? Not what lit you up 2 months ago, not what lit you up a year ago, not what you devoted yourself to and signed on the dotted line in blood on a contract 3 years ago, whatever it may be. What is lighting you up right now in this present moment? And what would it feel like to devote more time to that project and initiative and really envelop yourself in that sensation? I think what happens to us creatives is we get really dedicated and hyper focused on a goal that we previously set. And sometimes we get so hyper focused, we miss the point where maybe this dream or goal that we have isn't quite working for us anymore. It's almost like we are giving and giving and giving and giving so much to it, and it's not giving us anything back in return. And once you've sort of crossed that threshold, being able to take this moment to ask yourself, okay, what are the projects and initiatives that are going to give energy back to you in kind? That's where your energy, time, and money should be going right now. Activity number 4, or exercise number 4, is to rethink the long term. So this is another exercise I like to do, but it's sitting down with your list of goals and listing out each month for the next year. So let's say we're in October right now, then you're going to list out November, December, January, February, etc., all the way through next year. And taking each of these goals or large projects that you have for the future and asking yourself, when do you think you could honestly devote time to this project or endeavor? Based on what you know about your energy cycles, what's already happening, what you're committed to in the next year, when do you think you might have time to devote to these different things? And add it to your board. Plan to loop back around each and every month and touch back in with those goals. And ask yourself, does it still fit? So remember that blackboard I talked about a few minutes ago? I did that very same thing with this blackboard at the beginning of 2022. Has everything gone the way I've planned? No. Some things have, in all honesty, fallen off the board, and some things I'm not going to hit. But guess what? About 80%, 80 to 90% of the goals that I had no idea how to achieve at the beginning of this year have come to fruition. 80 to 90% of the things that I put on that board happened. And it's just because I gave myself the vision and the goal to make them happen. but then I found the right time in the present moment of when they fit best. And for some of those other goals, it's not that they haven't gone away. It's just that even though I thought this would be the year that they would happen, maybe it might be next year. Maybe I might move them into the future. It's sort of this like oscillation between long-term goal setting and short-term goal setting, and it's finding that balance between the two. So your fifth way to recalibrate and redefine the season that you are in is letting it go. Clear the calendar, stop saying yes, block off the time for you. If you are running yourself ragged, trying to do everything, start just letting some of it go and get back to the basics. Simplify your life again, simplify your calendar, and see what actually needs to stick. What really is the most important to you right now? All right, here's your one thing this week, although it kind of feels like I gave you about 5 different things this week. I want you to figure out what season you are in right now. Yes, it's October, it's fall, leaves are changing, the season's changing, it's getting a little bit chillier. Your energy levels might be changing as well. What projects or initiatives are your primary focus? And what needs to fall away right now? Write them down. Tell them every project or initiative that's going to go on the back burner, tell them that you'll be back when the time is right. All right, creative, if you're enjoying this podcast, be sure to send it to a friend, share it with them. Say, hey, I know you've been struggling right now. I know you've been having a really hard time prioritizing. I think you should listen to this podcast episode. It might really help you out. That is definitely one way to support the pod if you have been enjoying it. Another way is to subscribe, rate, and review. I know you've heard it before, but truly, 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 it really does help. All right. Stay creative, my friend. Until the next time. See you later.